Why credit cards are better than debit cards. Should you use credit cards or debit cards when you make a purchase? The answer is you should use credit cards, but only if you are careful to pay the full balance each month to avoid the outrageous interest costs and fees that credit card companies charge. Hi, I'm the Frugal Law Professor. In this video, I will discuss the benefits of using credit cards over debit cards to make purchases. However, keep in mind that this recommendation only applies if you pay the full balance on your credit card each month before the due date. If you can't pay your full credit card balance on time each month, you should not use credit cards at all. Financial pundits like Dave Ramsey rail against the use of credit cards because the interest costs and fees are frankly outrageous. Unless you are very careful, those expenses will eat you alive. As a bankruptcy lawyer, I've seen the financial destruction that credit cards can cause firsthand. Credit cards can ruin your financial life, and when your financial life is ruined, your personal life can fall apart too. That's why there are two choices when it comes to credit cards. Either learn how to use them properly or don't use them at all. So why are credit cards used properly better than debit cards? In this video, I will explain the 5 main reasons that credit cards are better than debit cards for everyday purchases. I will also explain what you have to do to avoid the exorbitant fees and costs that credit card companies charge you if you do not pay off your entire balance in full each month. 5 reasons that credit cards are better than debit cards. Reason number 1, credit cards have better purchase rebates. Each year, I earn thousands of dollars in purchase rebates on my credit cards. These rebates are treated as a purchase price reduction, so the credit card rebates are tax-free. Credit card companies offer lots of gimmicks to try to get you to use their credit cards, and many of these gimmicks have gotchas that trap you into incurring debt that you can't afford to pay and then charge you high interest rates and fees on those charges. So you have to understand the terms and make sure you avoid those fees and costs in order to get the benefit of the rebates that your card offers. What are the best rebate cards? Currently, the best simple rebate cards offer an unlimited 2% rebate on all purchases. Cards that appear to offer more than 2% usually have some catch, so you've got to be careful. Also, some cards offer more than 2% in points rather than cash back, but don't pay $1 in rebates for each 100 points, so you end up worse off than if you had just used a simpler card. Fidelity Investments, which I've recommended as the best place to do your banking, offers a no annual fee 2% rebate credit card called the Fidelity Rewards Cash Signature Credit Card that looks very good when used in conjunction with their brokerage and cash management accounts. Other issuers that offer simple, no-fee, 2% rebate credit cards include Wells Fargo Active Cash Card, Sophie Unlimited 2% Card, and some credit unions offer 2% credit cards. These are generally only available to people with good credit. Some credit cards offer more than 2% for certain kinds of purchases. Capital One's Savor One Rewards card offers 3% on groceries and dining expenses, but only 1% on other expenditures. It is a good second card to use for those expenses while using your 2% card for all other purchases. If you spend a lot of money on groceries, as I do, American Express offers a whopping 6% rebate on groceries, but with a spending limit and a $95 annual fee after the first year. The 6% rate applies only to $6,000 in grocery purchases each year, which gives you a rebate of about $300. The card imposes an annual fee of $95 after the first year. The net $200 that you earn is a bit better higher than you'd get with a 3% credit card up to the first $6,000 in purchases. But you have to keep track of your grocery purchases to stop using the card when you hit $6,000 in purchases, and you need to be sure that you will buy $6,000 in groceries each year before you get the card and incur the $95 annual fee. So it's a good deal if you track your grocery purchases carefully. If you don't want to do this, stick with an unlimited card with no fees. Many people who travel a lot use credit cards that give you points that can be used for travel expenses. These reward cards can be very complicated and can have significant restrictions on their use. If you want a travel rewards card, you really have to do your homework to understand how to benefit from the term. There are many other reward cards with rotating categories and other special features. If you're savvy and willing to keep track of what you're doing, they can be lucrative. But read the terms so that you know what you're getting into. Credit card benefit number 2, better legal protections on purchases. By law, debit cards simply access the funds in your bank account using an electronic funds transfer. Debit card purchases directly and quickly charge the money you have on deposit in your bank account. The Electronic Funds Transfer Act, the EFTA, known as Regulation E, which is 12 CFR Part 1005, there's a link to that in the description, gives you some protection against unauthorized or incorrect charges to your account, but does not protect you from a problem with your purchase. If you authorize the transaction and it is processed correctly as authorized, and the goods never arrive or there is some problem with the quality of the goods, you have no statutory legal protection with a debit card. Some debit card issuers give you contractual purchase protection, but that depends on the issuer and their particular term. The EFTA limits your liability for unauthorized or incorrect charges to $50 if you notify the issuer of the charges within 60 days after you receive your statement. If you do not notify the issuer within 60 days, then you're on the hook for any amount that the issuer could have avoided if you had given them notice within 60 days. That's why it's important to review and reconcile your monthly statements and promptly notify the issuer if there are discrepancies. Unlike debit charges, which are transfers from your bank account, credit card charges are loans from the credit card issuer to you. You do not need to have money on deposit with the issuer to cover your credit card charges. Credit card charges are governed by the Truth in Lending Act, also known as Reg Z, 12 CFR Part 1026. A link is also in the description. In Section 126.13a, Reg Z contains a similar provision for unauthorized or incorrect charges reported within 60 days after receiving your billing statement. But Section 126.12c gives a credit card purchaser a special protection against undelivered or defective purchasers of more than $50 if purchased in the same state or within 100 miles of the purchaser's residence. The purchaser must attempt to resolve the dispute with the seller and then must report the problem to the issuer before paying the charge. The issuer has the same liability with respect to the charge as the seller and must remove the charge from the customer's account until the dispute is resolved. Many credit card companies allow you to electronically object to charges, even if the amount at issue is under the $50 floor, and will promptly charge back the seller rather than be stuck in the middle of a dispute. This is an important statutory protection for credit card purchasers purchasers that you don't get when you use a debit card. Credit card benefit number 3. Credit card problems are less harmful than debit card problems. Because debit cards are charged directly to your bank account, an erroneous charge can wipe out your account balance and leave you very vulnerable during the dispute period. My brother once had a problem with Bank of America where thousands of dollars were stolen from his bank account from various ATM machines that he had never used. When he reported the theft to Bank of America, they claimed that the charges were proper and that it was, quote, impossible that someone could have made the withdrawals when he had possession of his ATM card. After some months, Bank of America apologized and refunded my brother's money. Apparently, a bank insider was stealing money from customer accounts. But for a long time, my brother was without his money. That wouldn't happen with a credit card because you could dispute the charge and not pay it rather than having to get a refund from the bank. So credit cards are safer than giving access to your bank account with a debit card. Credit card advantage number 4. Credit cards give you an interest-free loan. Debit card charges are withdrawn very quickly from your account, usually the same day as you make the charge. So you stop earning interest on the amount of the charge immediately. Credit card companies are making you an interest-free loan from the time of the charge until you pay your full credit card balance. That allows you to continue to earn interest on the amount of the charge from the date that you make your purchase until the date that you pay your full balance. However, this benefit is lost in a big way if you do not pay your full credit card balance by the due date. If you don't pay your full credit card balance on or before the due date, the credit card company's exorbitant interest rate will apply retroactively to the date of purchase. So you must pay your full credit card balance each month on or before the due date to get the benefit of this interest-free loan. Credit card benefit number 5. Credit cards can help you build credit and improve your credit score. The last benefit of credit cards over debit cards is that credit cards can build your credit rating. Credit scores and credit ratings are based on the availability and usage of credit, not spending. Using a debit card does not build your credit standing. Just getting a credit card will increase your credit score by increasing the amount of available credit you have. The credit scoring companies assume that you must be a better credit risk if a creditor is willing to give you a line of credit. And paying your full balance on time each month will be disclosed to the credit card rating agencies to show that you are a responsible user of credit. Why is your credit score important? Because it will affect your eligibility and the interest rate you pay for loans to buy a house or to buy a car, for getting the best quality credit cards, and to get the best rates on insurance. And credit scores are increasingly being used by employers to determine if you're likely to be a responsible employee. The trap. All of these benefits to credit cards quickly go away if you do not pay your full credit card balance by the due date. The interest rate charged by credit card companies would be usurious if the credit card companies were not exempt from the usury laws. According to LendingTree, the average credit card interest rate is 24.66%, and that interest rate is charged retroactively to the date of purchase if you do not pay your full statement balance by the due date each month. And that's the average rate. Some credit card rates are even higher than 25%. Furthermore, if you don't pay the minimum balance on your statement by the due date, you're likely going to be subject to all kinds of additional charges. First, many credit cards provide for a default interest rate that applies when you miss your payment, often doubling the regular interest rate. interest rates of 50% or more might apply. Default interest is a killer that can quickly lead to bankruptcy. Second, credit card companies charge late fees if you do not pay the minimum payment on your credit card by the due date. Some credit card issuers are limited to charging $30 for a late payment, and others can charge more. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is trying to limit late fees to $8 or the higher amount that the issuer can show is necessary to recover their costs. But whether it's $8 or $30 or more, the cost of being late is wasted money. If you already have credit card debt and are unable to pay your full credit card balance, you need to make the minimum payment each month to avoid the default interest rates and late fees. But you will be paying those exorbitant interest rates, so you need to develop a plan to live below your means and pay off your credit card balances as quickly as possible. Developing a plan to get out of debt is a topic for another day, but the important takeaway is that all of these benefits of credit cards only apply if you pay your full credit card balance each month and avoid these very high interest charges and fees. Another frugal point is the importance of controlling your spending. There have been some studies showing that people spend more money when they use credit cards than when they pay with cash. There is something about feeling that money leave your wallet that discourages spending. If you have trouble controlling your spending, then you should consider paying with cash. Yes, it's inconvenient and carrying cash is risky, but it's better than overspending and getting into credit card debt. My last point is how important it is to keep track of your spending. It's very hard to maximize the return on your money and minimize your expenses if you don't keep track of your spending and your accounts. There are many ways to keep track, from using a free spreadsheet like Google Sheets to using a more sophisticated financial program. If you don't keep track of your financial life, something will probably go wrong. You can make sure that you pay your full balance each month by setting up auto payment with your credit card company. You just have to be sure to have sufficient funds in your bank account to cover your payment. Tracking your spending is another topic for a future video. So that's why credit cards are better than debit cards for regular spending if you are careful to pay your full credit card balance on or before the due date each month. Post your questions in the comments below and subscribe for future videos.